Hello everybody, this is the XP-50. It is a rank 3 experimental interceptor for the US. It costs 1600 golden eagles to purchase, and its armament consists of two 20mm autocannons and two 50 cals. The XP-50 is like 20% engine, so therefore it has a good climb rate. And the climb rate that it has is a grand total of 20 meters a second, which is quite high for a prop, considering most props climb a bit less than that, like 15 to 19 meters a second. And considering this plane is like 25% engine, it is still quite good at turning. It can hold its own in a dogfight against most planes, except for most Japanese planes and Spitfires. However, the plane has an air spawn, so it can climb above everything, and then it can just boom and zoom absolutely any plane, regardless of which one it is. And if they dive, just keep your altitude, and once you're at altitude, no one can do anything, and they're dead. As I just mentioned, the XP-50 is a great climber, and it can just boom and zoom anything, and if something's at your height, you can usually just out-climb it at 15 to 20 degrees, and once you're at 15 to 20 degrees, and they're coming towards you, you can either dive on top of them, or just go up, and energy trap them. So, this plane is still quite versatile and quite fun to play, even if you do just go up or go down and shoot at them. If you play to this plane's strengths, e.g. its flaps and its engine power, then no one can touch you pretty much, unless they got a higher energy advantage than you do. Otherwise, you should win most of the time if you play the plane right. So you see, the C202 did a massive blunder by running and letting me catch up to him since I had the energy advantage. And once I had the energy advantage, I could just follow him, and he messed up a lot by turning right here, and since he turned, he wasted more of his energy. But since I got the energy advantage, I just used my flaps once I go over him and outclimb his guns to just outturn him up at altitude until he stalls, and I can use my flaps to roll over and pull down and shoot at him after he's stalling and is slow. As I mentioned previously, the XP-50 is quite a viable plane in dogfights, even though it is an interceptor, because you can just outclimb them and whip out your flaps and just boom and zoom them constantly, and usually they can't do anything, because you bleed their speed more than they can bleed yours, because you gain energy and keep energy so well, which means it's a bit hard to make people overshoot, but you can outclimb them and let them stall out if they have the amount of energy where you can just outclimb their guns and they can't even shoot at you because they're stalling too early. Anyway, this F6C, he gets hit just because he goes up and he doesn't realize how well the XP-50's nose can pitch up, and then he just runs away for a bit, and I crit his engine, and he runs away, shoots at some ground targets and crashes into the ground. The XP-50 is also quite good at steel clubbing if you have a friend which you can squad up with who also has the XP-50. Since the XP-50 is good by itself, but it's even better if you have a friend that can just help you. Like for example, this Spitfire here. When I shoot at him, I only get a hit and then a crit on his wing. And then my friend, I ask him to come in and he demolishes the Spitfire. It wasn't a kill steal, I asked him to. And then later on we went to dive, and I killed the LA-5. Then once I shot the LA-5, I was gonna go for that SU-6, but that P-47 killed it first. And then I split the fuck wolf there. and decide to try dive on him, but he was going quite fast on the deck, and I was also a bit concerned about that Key 44 right there. And if you didn't know, Key 44s are Japanese planes, so they are quite good at turning. So I just waited and didn't attack the Focke-Wulf and let my squad mate attack the Focke-Wulf. And I was going towards the Key 44 just in case he were to come towards and be a bigger threat. And my squad mate was shooting at the Focke-Wulf, but did basically no damage. So he asked me to finish him off since I was above him and he was going up to stall, the Focke-Wulf was. And he was quite an easy shot and I took off his tail. Yeah, that was not a kill steal at all. Anyway, we climbed after a while because it ended up that the Key 44 and that Yak 9 were at the airfield. So we dragged them away a bit, and I initiated in a dogfight with the Key 44, and my squad mate initiated in a dogfight with the Yak. And the Key 44, he was an okay player, but he wasn't using his maneuverability to his advantage, because I could match his maneuverability if I had my flaps out, but I would be dead if he used his flaps whatsoever. So I could climb up to his altitude and also outturn him while stalling, just to crit him in his oil, so his engine would die. If you just saw there, his oil completely emptied, so his engine is on life support right now. It is not going to last long. And that Key 44 is just trying to dive down to the deck and failing, and I get like an imaginary hit on his wing for some reason. The bullet just goes straight through, and I go over the top and I realize that his engine is dying, so he can't really dogfight me anymore. And since my squad mate died to that Yak 9, I tried to finish off the Key 44 and failed, and then I saw the Yak 9 coming towards me, so I went over and saw the Key 44 was not doing much. So I tried to dodge that Yak 9, and lucky he couldn't pull enough AOA to hit me there. That was like barely skimming my tail. And I tried to finish off the Key 44 with the Yak 9 behind me, who's still climbing, but I only got a hit. And then I gave up because I was going to hit the ground. And then I realized the Yak 9 was almost hitting my tail, but he didn't, luckily, because he couldn't pull enough AOA again. So he goes up, and I use my flaps to try and outturn him whilst going up too with my insane climb rate, and also killing my engines at 100% throttle. And the Yak 9 put up a good fight. He tried to go up, but he didn't realize I could pitch up so well with my engines. I was basically floating there and I almost hit him, but he went down and I could just go over and use my flaps. And then he got a bit scared by that P61 right there, and the P61 missed, but it scared the Yak 9 into turning, and then he tried to do a reversal and got set on fire, which is always fun. And then he dies because of the fire, because his flap fell off right after the fire came on. And that's the end, I guess.